Hey y'all, I got a funny idea this afternoon. Actually, I guess I got it last night about where I was and what I was doing. And I thought, man, if I'm thinking these things, maybe everybody else might want to think a little bit too. So, I don't know. First off, I just wanted to say hey to everybody. This is really more of just kind of like a Santa Dad check-in. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, where are we? Right? We got through Christmas, and everybody knows how busy Christmas can be. And then you have what I like to call the week that has no time, right? It knows no time, which is the week between Christmas and New Year's Day. And then you have New Year. So one of the things that I like to do when we get into the new year is just sort of calm down and take a second and look back at what we had just done. Now, I don't know if it's that way for everybody, but it's certainly something that I like to do. Sort of take stock on what we just did over Christmas and then get into whatever it is that we're going to be doing, in the new year. Hey, Ken, I see you jumped in. It's good to see you, buddy. I'm really just getting started here, so you didn't miss much. I was really just sort of explaining what it was that we have going on, and this is really kind of just a Santa Dad check-in, right? Just to see how everybody's doing now that we're pretty much a full month into the brand new year, which is hard to believe. And some people, I don't know, some people think about January as being, it's the kind of month that drags on and on and on because the rush of December, especially the last month or two there, the last week or two there, it can be intense for folks. And so sometimes that leads into a bit of a hangover, and then January just kind of drags along and it's cold, and it just makes January a rough month. But now that we're almost through it, you're like, where do we go, or what do we do, and where did the last month go, that kind of stuff. So I don't know, I'm just checking in to see how everybody's doing. While I'm here tonight, I figured I would take this opportunity to talk a little bit about what it was we did in December, kind of look back at what we did there, sort of recap what that's going to be, what we're looking forward to in 2022, and seeing what's, some various content that I have that's coming. And then we'll talk about, what I put on the banner, which was kind of what I was just talking about, where December's just, it just seems like there's always something to do, someplace to be, something to think about, something fun to watch or sing or listen to or whatever. And then January hits and it feels like all that stuff just goes away. And a lot of times that can lead you to a place that isn't a whole lot of fun. One of the things I like to say is it's not the fall that gets you. It's the sudden change of direction. So when you think about it in terms of Christmas and December, you have this crazy rush of December, the whole month it seems, and in our case, more than a month, right? Because we start to decorate in November, and then we're doing Christmas cards right after Thanksgiving, and everything just rolls right through the end of the year. And there's just such a rush of stuff to do right there. That would be the fall in this scenario. And then you get past Christmas Day, and especially past New Year, and you're in January and it's cold and everything, and maybe you don't want to get outside and do a whole lot, or you can't for whatever reason, the weather. And that would be the sudden change of direction, right? And that is a lot of times what puts people in a bit of a funk. So we'll talk a little bit more about that on the back end. Excuse me. But to begin with, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to share what you're doing right now, in the chat. Feel free, jump in there and let me know what you're doing to stay busy here in January so far. But I can tell you what we've been doing is, if you follow along on the page, you know that and I got some new gear, in case you didn't notice, some new Bulldogs gear here. So that was a big part of what it was that we were doing when we got back, when we got into December. And, pretty much the whole month of December, right? Because Georgia had a good year, and then you have the layoff right after Thanksgiving. You have the championship game, then there's the layoff, and then there's the semifinal. So we had something to look forward to in the new year, which was the semifinal, and then hopefully a chance to play for a national title, which we were able to do, which was a whole lot of fun. So that sort of helped buoy, in a normal year, that would have helped buoy how I handled moving across from December into January. So this year was not a normal year, though. We were busy just the entire month of December. And again, if you're a fan of the page, you know what that was. Like this year with Santa Dad, this was actually the first full year that we had done Santa Dad. And what we did was it's not so much, don't think of this so much in terms of money, but it was like we kind of blew out the budget, right? So every idea I had for Santa Dad, we kind of squeezed it into this year. So starting like the second day of December, I launched what for my version of Vlogmas here on Instagram. And those were what I call twinkle reels, which were, a minute or two of whatever it was that we were doing that day. And we would go do the activity, even if it was just here at home. I would shoot video of the girls doing whatever it was they were doing. If we went somewhere, I would shoot video of that, put it together in a little reel, package it up, and post it as a twinkle reel. And that was something that we enjoyed doing. The girls really had a lot of good times with, and the people that watched them really seemed to enjoy it. So that was one of those things where we were busy all year, So when I talk about that rush of December where everything's just flying by, like telephone poles on the highway, right? That's the way December was for us. And it was great. We loved every bit of it. But it just is what it is. Like you're just going the whole time. So that was Vlogmas Twinkle Reels here on Instagram. Y'all also know that we did Christmas Across Georgia, which was woven into the Twinkle Reels idea. So we literally crisscrossed the state, and there's so many things going on here in Georgia. Georgia's really kind of a cool place to live when it comes to Christmas and stuff like that. And every state has its fun stuff that they like to do. But being a lifelong Georgian, I really wanted to know what Georgia had to offer. And so I did a little research. We put together the plans for what was going on with Christmas Across Georgia. And then we went and did all of those things and documented it and shared it. So again, just more telephone poles passing on the highway, right? It was just so busy there in the month of December. And again, it was wonderful, but we certainly were busy. So it looks like our buddy Todd wants to jump in here with us.
I hope he does. Hopefully this goes through and he can come on. Because what we're going to do on the back end, and we can hit and miss and jump in. There he is.
Hey.
Hello. How you doing?
Hear me? Oh
yeah.
Well.
I got you.
All right.
I got you. I'm trying to, it's kind of scattershot right here, but I was just trying to kind of set the stage for what we're going to get into this evening. I know you had a crazy December. Can you identify with what it was I was just talking about? How there's just so much stuff going on the whole time, and it's like telephone poles on the highway. It's just flying by, and before you know it, you go from like my anniversary is December 5th, so literally from the first day, from Thanksgiving all the way through till April, we have something to do. But December was just chock full. I know you had kind of a crazy December. Did it ever slow down for you this year, Todd? Man, thanks for jumping on, by the way.
Oh, no problem. Well, it did slow down only because me and my wife, Holly, got really sick with COVID. So for a couple of weeks there, it kind of came to a screeching halt because we just couldn't do anything but lay in bed and be miserable. But normally a normal like holiday season, and of course, you know, this having kids, we have 4 kids. It's like, you know, you hit Halloween and then you're into November. We like to decorate early, you know, and then we got to get the shopping done. And before you know it, it's kids programs at school, at church, Thanksgiving. Then you're in, you know, to December and, you know, work parties and church parties and family get-togethers. Let's get with this side of the family, that side of the family, these people over here, and all this. And it can bombard you in a hurry and go by you even quicker, you know, if you're not prepared and not ready. But this past December, you know, one of the reasons we decorate early, you know, we love Christmas, of course, but is so it's done. And so that way when December comes, we're not having to do it. You know, it's kind of like why everybody else. And that's another reason we like to shop early too, is that way when December comes and everybody's rushing around doing things, we're not, you know, and, you know, we're able to kind of slow down and enjoy. But yeah, it's just, you know, no matter how December goes, you hit, you know, after first of the year and stuff, it can be tough, but it does go by in a flash. Doing this podcast for 3 years this May, thing I've noticed is like, you know, I always say it's right now we're in the marathon to Christmas. It's a long way there, but then as soon as Labor Day hits, it's a sprint, and time gets quicker the closer you get to Christmas, and then that week after Christmas, you can't even tell what day of the week it is. It kind of gets a screeching halt. But
yeah, it's like I call it the week that knows no time. That
right.
week between Christmas and the New Year, it just knows no time. And again, we just threw a stick of dynamite into that week for us this year, which right. I can talk a little bit more about that, you know, as we move forward. So do you think the way I think about it is it makes sense, right? It's not the fall that gets you, it's the sudden change of direction. Right. So it's you're going, and then all of a sudden there's nothing to do, or at least, you know, not along with the rest of the world, right? I mean, right. Everything just kind of stops as far as the Christmas season is concerned, and then you're just back into I got to go to work or whatever it is. And I mean, how much fun is that, right? When you compare it to the past month, so it makes sense that's a rough period. I mean, it's one of those things where, like I was just talking about when you hopped on here, I was just talking about like what it was that we were doing this year that would have carried us into the new year if this year had not been like the first year of Santa Dad, right? So we had the first year of Santa Dad, plus we had like Georgia had a good football season, so the college football season was extended for us, so that would have given me something to look forward to in the new year. The NFL playoffs are still going on. This past weekend we had what was quite possibly the best, you know, divisional round of playoffs in maybe in my lifetime. I'm 45. It's hard for me to recall. I mean, even if I just go back 30 years, it's hard to remember a better 4 games, you know. So that was exciting if you're a sports fan. And I think here, I just want to get this on the record too, because I've said this in multiple posts, like in various ways across numerous platforms. But the question of when do you take down your Christmas decorations? Look, you see at least some of that wreath up there. That, trust me, our house, like if I talk it, I've still got everything up. And I mean, we did take down the outside stuff just simply because we had some weather, you know, a couple of weeks back, and I just didn't want, you know, stuff to get ruined just because whatever. So we took that down. But frankly, and I can expound on this about what we were doing the first part of January, but A, we were busy. B, it's just not a top priority with everything else we had going on. But most importantly, like the girl, every day, like when we got back home, I was asking the girls, I'm like, do y'all like this? Is it all right? I mean, you know, I'm in no hurry to take it down. And they're like, oh, we love it. It's pretty. Let's whatever. So here we are almost into February, and I still have all of my stuff up, and I have no shame about that at all. Oh, no. My thing is, you take your Christmas stuff down when you are darn good and ready, and not 1 minute prior to that, you know, and if that's what you need to do to ease you into the new year, then absolutely do that, you know. So Because I mean, who are we trying to impress, right? Nobody.
Yeah.
It's what makes you happy and your family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things. It drives me nuts when people
Yeah.
talk about it in such a way that they take a hard stance. You know, like this
Mm-hmm.
is how it has to be, or I'm like, it doesn't. You
Yeah.
know, you can do whatever you like.
Yeah. Our stuff just came down last weekend. That's, my wife was kind of ready for it to come down, but that's the exact phrase we use this year. It's like, when are we going to take it down? It's like, whenever we're ready to,
Yeah.
and we were ready, but we do have some things that we leave up year round. There's some, I have bought these, they call them ornaments, but they're way too big to put on the tree. Bought them from that store, Mr. Christmas. It's like these retro ceramic ornaments, and they're about 4 inches high or so, and they're on the bookshelf in the dining room year round. And there's some stuff scattered throughout the house that's like that, and we just leave it there because, well, we probably leave it there because I like seeing it all the time, but the kids do too, and the wife does too. Just to see that little bit of Christmas sprinkled through the house is just nice. And it used to be a joke because it's like, we used to take down everything, but then there was always one decoration that got left behind, and so that slowly morphed into a few more things accidentally, with quote, getting left behind. But it's just whenever you're ready. I know some people are diehards. It's like the day after Christmas or New Year's Day and stuff, and it's like, if that's what you want to do, that's great. But sometimes I'm just not ready to call Christmas quits. That
Yeah.
that close. So.
Well, I mean, I've got two thoughts on that. One, it's very much, to me, it's very much like, it's kind of like, I don't know, politics or religion or whatever. If you are hardcore about doing it that way, and that's the way you have to do it, and that's what makes you happy, do it. That
Right.
doesn't affect me at all. I mean, so if that's the way you want to be it, and that's fine. Just don't turn around and try to tell me that I'm wrong if I don't do that. You know what I mean? So I try to adopt the live and let live when it comes to the Christmas spirit. So, but I know that, and speaking of Christmas spirit, I noticed that we've got some more people who have joined us. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it, because I think this is a topic that a lot of people deal with. I know from my social media feed, they may or may not pop in here, but I know that there were a lot of people that responded and said, man, I struggle every year, or I don't like this part of Christmas being over, or whatever it is. And that's fine. Because I've been there, and so I know what that's like. And so just looking at some of the people who were in the chat here, I see my friend Jenny's in here, Jonathan, Claude, hello, everybody. Mr. Claus Collects is in here. Hello, Saltine Bomb, hello. And it's, when I was on with Jenny and Gigi back in the first part of December, we did an Instagram Live here. And one of the things I said to them during that Instagram Live was, at the end of the movie Scrooged, when Bill Murray's character gets it, right? He understands, like it came home for him. He was one of those guys. I got to think about that scene, and he's like, when you get that feeling, you don't have to just do it at Christmas. You can do it all year round. That's what the Christmas spirit is, right? To keep Christmas well. And he's like, you're an adult. If you want to have that feeling, if celebrating Christmas makes you feel happy or puts you in a good place, and that's what you want to do in May or in September or whenever, you're an adult. You have permission from me and the universe to celebrate Christmas all you want to. Yeah. And, you should not at all like stuff down your red hat. I mean, if you want to rock it, because granted, it may be hot, so I know mine is occasionally, but it's just one of those things where if you want to celebrate. And if you follow along on the channel, we did this last year for Christmas in July, and I've got some fun new ideas for this year about the way to do this, but you can take anything, like last year, I made Christmas in July cookies using watermelon and the Christmas cookie cutter shapes, right? So I'm celebrating Christmas, right? But I'm enjoying the summer thing, and you can do that all the way around. Anywhere on the calendar, you can find a way to do that. And that, I just think you shouldn't let outward influences, right, dictate how you celebrate. So if getting you past the doldrums is to just keep celebrating, do it. That's fine. Now,
Yeah.
I have some other ideas that I was going to mention here about what we do, or what I
Okay.
do personally to kind of get beyond January. Well, before I get into that, let me kind of recap what it is that we did in December, just real quick, because we've got a
Okay.
couple new people who are in here. So, again, in December, we did Twinkle Reels, which was the everyday vlogmas for Instagram here, which seemed to be a pretty big hit from the people who chimed in and saw them. And if you didn't, they're all still on the page. Go back and look them, relive the season. It'll be great. If that brings you a smile, right? If going back and looking at what we did brings you a smile, do it. If you want to go back and listen to, and this gets me to the podcast point, if you want to go find your favorite Christmas podcaster, like our buddy Todd here, go back and listen to his episodes or any of the other fine podcasts that focus on Christmas out there to help you get through January and get your footing in the new year. Do that, right?
Right.
So Twinkle Reels was something that we did in December. So we did Christmas across Georgia. We did Twinkle Reels. And then once we got past Christmas, one of the girls' Christmas gift this year was that we were going to take them to Disney World to see the Magic Kingdom and all the parks dressed up for Christmas. And I'm not going to lie, even as a 45-year-old man, that was super exciting to me to get to go see that, because I'd only been one time before, and going back this time and seeing the park dressed up that way, it was like being there for the first time. I mean, I really, really, really enjoyed that. Like everything was super special about it, and it just made me so happy. So we got a couple more new people. Hello, everybody. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll try not to miss them. But thanks for coming by. We really appreciate it. It's one of those things where everything from just, I don't know, man, the foods were different. Like the resort that we stayed in, we stayed at the parks. And the resort that we stayed in, one of my favorite parts of the whole thing was that we stayed at a Southwestern themed resort. But one of the things was that all of the Christmas music was playing 24/7, but it was playing in a Southwestern theme, right? Yeah. So it was not the traditional music. It was nice. It was special guitars and special harps and all this kind of stuff. Man, it sort of recreated the whole experience for me. It was fantastic, and I was just super, super. I'm telling you, man. I actually had a bit of a head cold the whole time we were there. So it was perfect, except for that. Like, if I just hadn't been dealing with that, it would have been even better, you know. But it was just one of those things. I see Ken saying he's going to really celebrate it at Christmas in July, and man, I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
You know, I'm not spilling any beans right here. So, but I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So, so that's going to be a good time. So, before I jump into some of the stuff that I do personally to get over the new year, because again, this year we just kind of got slingshot into the new year as a family, my family. So what are some of the things that you do to kind of get yourself over that hump, right? You get beyond the week that knows no time, and then you land in December or in January, and you're there in the Midwest. The weather may not be great, like I can't go for a run. I mean, whatever. I mean, so what are some of the things that you do to kind of get over the first couple 3 weeks?
Well, normally what we do this year's been an anomaly because of the me and my wife having COVID and just kind of going through that brain fog fatigue kind of thing and stuff. But what we normally do is, like, after Christmas and that week that knows no time, we won't turn on like the TV or anything. And we'll start working jigsaw puzzles, and we'll still listen to Christmas music, but then we'll like slowly transition to like Michael Bublé radio, where it's kind of the crooners, and you're still getting Frank and Bing, but they're singing their non-Christmas songs. And usually that putting puzzles together and listening to the music every night instead of TV will carry us almost to March, and we'll put depends on the difficulty of the puzzles, 3 or 4 or 5 puzzles together through that run. And that's like the one thing that just really kind of over the past several years has really kind of took us that transition, you know, from Christmas and the holidays and into the new year, you know, by giving us that something to do. And I think it's because it's, you know, putting a jigsaw puzzle together is a really, people don't think of it, but it's a really creative task for your mind. And oddly, it's de-stressing. Even studies have shown putting jigsaw puzzles together is a great way to de-stress. And then when you have that smooth big band jazz music playing in the background that doesn't bring any added energy, you know, to the atmosphere, it's just kind of a perfect cocktail, if you will, to kind of make that transition for us.
I love the way you describe that. To me, that sounds kind of like, it's kind of like a very soft landing. You sort of wean yourself off over, you know, a little bit of time, and it's a hard, abrupt stop. I really like that. And it's funny because I had to run some errands today, and while I was out, I was still listening to, you know, some Christmas music mixed in with some non-Christmas music, and a song played. There was a collaboration, a duet between a male and a female. Jamie Johnson was involved, and it's the kind of song that they're singing about Christmas. They're singing about a relationship, you know, kind of trying to happen around Christmas time, but it was talking more about the spirit of the season and how, you know, one of the lines in the song is, you know, I wish that you could see that the Christmas lights they don't hold a candle to you, right? You glow all year. Your personality, who you are, glows all year. And I just think that's a wonderful, like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this is kind of a 1 foot in, 1 foot out of Christmas. You know, it's like, here I am and almost at February, but this is a song that I'm blasting and like having a really good time too. And, you know, so I kind of get it. I get that.
I had a post a year or so ago, and I stated that Michael Bublé radio and Spotify is like methadone for Christmas music. You know, it just kind of wings you off, you know.
Watch the dosing, but just take it easy and you'll be okay.
Right.
That's pretty good. I hadn't heard about that. That's pretty good. Well, some of the stuff we do, like, again, this year is just different. And frankly, I keep saying this year was different, but we had so much blasted fun that I think it's going to be like, this is going to be the new normal, right? Like this is how it's going to go for us. And that's great. Again, man, it was work, like for me that I chose. It was work for sure, because doing the editing and just all the stuff that I had to do to make all that stuff happen. But I mean, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't want to, right? I just like enjoy it so much. And when people see that stuff and then they come back and leave comments and stuff like that about maybe the girls were in a video or something, which they love to do. But if someone comments on a video and they're like, oh man, look at those girls, they're so happy, and it makes me think of whatever. And that makes me super happy, because I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is that we're sharing our experience in hopes that it's going to make somebody else, you know, feel good or smile or whatever it is. And to kind of just share the perspective. Again, for those people who aren't like super familiar with my page, right? I mean, yeah, we focus on Christmas. I love Christmas. But the page is really like, it's about a lot more than that. And one of the things that it's about is me as a dad celebrating dad life, but we're doing it through the lens of Christmas, right? I mean, notice my fingers. Can y'all see that? I don't know. I got caught just the other day for a beauty salon game, and I love this color. They let me pick my color, but it's starting to wear off. I'm going to need to go back for a touch-up. But they do, you know. So it's just that. It's just we're just sharing the life of being a dad and being a family, and you know. But there's always a whole lot of Christmas tied up in it because we all enjoy it so much. So, you know what? I hadn't really thought about it, but maybe subconsciously the idea of Santa Dad was born out of the fact that I never really wanted to give up on Christmas in the first place. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe I was like, that's my cheat way to just kind of get to play Christmas all the time, you know, and think about it and not ever have to let it go. And if that is it in my brain somewhere, you know, if a psychologist said that's what you're doing, I'd be like, I got no problem with that. So, that's fine. So, who am I hurting, right? Nobody. So, But yeah, like some of the other things we do. The first thing I do, like when we get past New Year, right? That first week, really. One of the things I'll do, because I don't really take time to do it in Christmas, right? The girls are still small. We're just going and doing.
Right.
But and I posted this a while back, like when the page was really young. I shared a picture of a book, and I can show it to you here now. It's called Christmas Memories, the Christmas Memory Book.
Mm-hmm.
It's made in America. It's a wonderful document that will allow you. Let's see if I can find something here that would be good to show. That will allows you to go back in and make notes about what you did in that Christmas season, so that you'll have a record going forward.
Great idea.
And it's something that we do and we really enjoy. And so, just so you can see, I mean, it's really pretty. Like it's you can just go back in there and put your notes about family and all those sorts of things. Who came to visit? What did you have for Christmas dinner? Just all that kind of stuff that maybe your children might ask you at some Christmas in the future or something, So that is a way I sit down, I think back about all that stuff, and I try to write that out and make those notes. And that's kind of like, it's kind of like a CPA's version of closing the books on Christmas. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like officially, there may still be stuff up or whatever, but I'll kind of do that and just kind of be like, okay, we kind of put it to bed, like what it is we did. And in that process, that allows me to think about what worked, right?
Yeah.
Like, did I like the way I decorated this room this year, or did we do anything different as far as going to visit or having people come here or anything like that? What worked and what didn't work, So that's one thing that I really do. It kind of helps me. Like I say, close the book and think through everything and kind of put it to bed. So, before I ask you if you have anything on that point, I see some people have left us some messages here. So Ken says he likes to pass the blues of January, and he's been trying to stay in touch with family and friends, which is good. I think that's a huge thing, which I was going to talk about here in a little while. And make an extra effort to check in with others. And that's, I think that, and you'll see later that dovetails exactly into what I'm going to talk about, because the one thing that I would not advise anybody trying to move beyond something like this, where you're having an emotionally difficult time, would be to isolate yourself.
Right.
I say do exactly the opposite. Throw the doors open. Pick up the phone, call people, do whatever you need to do, because to me, that is something that just goes above and beyond a text, right? You make a phone call, you go see someone, you invite someone over. So good job, Ken, man. That's a really good response, I think. Yeah. And he's like, Christmas is not just for kids, but it's for the kid and all of us. And that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. I mean, I'm a big goofball. Mrs. Santa Mom, she's like never on here. You see her in pictures occasionally and stuff like that. Believe me, I know she can have fun, okay? But I'm the one who's the like, oh, like I want to do whatever. That's me, So it is for the kid and all of us. And again, I think Santa Dad's kind of giving me an avenue to just kind of play that up a little bit and be like, no, it's for Santa Dad. It makes sense. Yeah. And Mr. Claus Collects has jumped in here. Hey, man, I hope you're doing well. I know that I see you redesigned your look, a little new logo there, which is pretty cool. I like that. I'm a fan of the cartoon look. So that's a good thing. I mean, do you have anything else to add right there? Anything else that you might do to kind of close the book on Christmas past?
Well, we're kind of the same boat with you. We don't have like that Christmas memories, but that's a great idea, to kind of to jot that stuff down. But one thing similar we do is kind of like, we figure out, how we want to decorate for next year, and what we want to add or maybe do different. We talk about that. We if there's something that comes up, like this year in particular, we get Christmas cards in the mail, and Holly had mentioned something about her mom years ago had this like Christmas card tree stand thing, and that she had made, and she's like, I can make one of those. Well, it was a little too close to Christmas to jump onto that, right then. And I said, well, just make a note of it, and then this spring or sometime when you're looking for something to make or something to do, you could be reminded of that, and then you could have it ready for next year. But have you ever heard of Rudolph Day?
I have not.
Yeah, Rudolph Day is the 25th of every month is Rudolph Day, and part of what you're supposed to do on those days is prepare for the Christmas coming up, and so for those that want to kind of get into that mindset, one of the ways to kind of get past the Christmas we just had is to start looking forward to the Christmas that's coming, and so take that time. But then when January 25 comes around, set some time. It doesn't have to be very long, to grab a notebook or your notes app on your phone or tablet or what have you, whatever you prefer, and start writing down those ideas. And if you have a good idea, make sure you write it down, because within a week or two you'll be like, what was that? And then when you're like, I had a really great idea for Christmas coming up here in a month, but I sure can't remember what it is, you have it written down. And
Yeah.
But we do a lot of that planning for the next Christmas, especially once Christmas is over. It's like, we need to put a tree over here and decorate this tree this way instead of that way, and things like that, and just kind of not forgetting about the Christmas we just had, but starting our mind to start thinking about the one that's coming up, and that really helps shift the focus.
That is a keeper. I didn't know. I mean, the idea of kind of sprinkling it throughout the year, I've been beating around that bush, this whole bit. But that's a really cool thing. I like that a lot. Yeah. I might actually have to bring something up about that, because I've never seen that anywhere. I'm sure it's not a new idea. As a matter of fact, I see it here in the chat. Claude says that on the 25th of each month, they try to watch a Christmas movie together as a family. Yeah. Now, I think that's an awesome idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it is a great idea.
That's why I love these kind of interactions, because that's two things right there that I can stick in my quiver, right, to battle off the blues, as it were. So one of the other things I like to do is, and it's not so much this year. Again, this year is, we're just full speed ahead all the time. I'm constantly thinking about it in some way or another. But in years past, like if I were to think back, say 3 years or 4 years ago, when our first daughter was still really little and we had just had our second child, I was just, if it's possible, when they were smaller like that, everything just seemed even that much more saccharine sweet in December, and it was just like, holy moly, I love it, but that's a whole lot of cute and just sugar. And then there's the food and just all of it. And when we got into December, I was having a period like this where I was like, oh, I'm not feeling it. And it was kind of a slog to get through that first week or two right there. And one of the things that I found myself doing was turning to my other interests. And as you know, because we talked about it before, one of those things is like apocalyptic stuff. Yeah. So that's what I will do. And I'll do it now a little bit just for fun if I want to, but I don't need it the way I needed it a few years ago in that moment. But I just picked the things that I knew would make me happy and get me in a good headspace. And for me, that was apocalyptic stuff. So I was reading and listening to books and watching movies about all the crazy apocalyptic stuff. I think people who follow the page know I'm a big fan of Batman, right? So if I'm feeling bummed out, I'll watch a Batman flick or something, or check that out. Or I'm also a huge fan of comedy, especially stand-up comedians. So who, by the way, for the record, I want to get this out here to the world. Like, I think stand-up comedians are like some of the smartest, like coolest people on the planet, right? Because how many times have you been watching a stand-up and it's like they're speaking for you? It's like, I see it exactly the same way, except I'm not nearly that funny or clever or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And to have that skill, right, I'm just amazed. But that's an aside. I'm just saying. So I love comedy, so I'll just pick my stuff that I know makes me happy, and get my brain in a good place, and then I'll go, and attack whatever it is that's in front of me. So I mean, that's just something else I do. But I love the Rudolph idea. I love the movie idea. And Mr. Claus jumped in there, and he's saying that he will add to his Santa collection, and that kind of helps him keep focus on what it is and have something to look forward to, which is another thing that I think is a really good idea. You know, if you have something like that you want to add to.
Yeah. You know, you talked about, diving into the books and stuff, and I know you like to write and things, and that's another way people can kind of de-stress, no matter if it's just the post-Christmas blues or any kind of stress or depression feeling they're having, is to find their creative outlet. I like to get out in the garage and build, do some woodworking and stuff like that, and some people have asked me, well, why don't you put it on YouTube or something like that? And it's like, because that's my time. I don't want to, at the risk of sounding selfish, it's like I don't really want to share that with everybody because it's my time to focus on that. And my wife loves to paint and to craft, and she's excellent at it, and she does that. And and people like to write or to draw or whatever it is. There's all kinds of stuff. So if you can find a creative outlet to just create something, from your mind or with your hands and things. And that's, any time of year when you're kind of feeling low and like you need to pick me up or time to de-stress, just getting those creative juices is so helpful. And the problem is a lot of people, part of the problem is when you're in that state, your get up and go isn't really there. So you kind of have to force yourself to do it, or give yourself that kick in the pants or something. But I don't know what it is. It's like, but once you get you get your mind rolling, it's almost like it breaks the cycle. It's like you get your mind moving in a different direction, and it just kind of breaks that loop you're in, and it works wonders. It really does. I've seen it so many times.
You were leading me right into where I was going to head with my closing point that I've been kind of talking about this whole time, which is, and to finish up, I mean, the final point I had here was that I like to plan, right? I like to start looking ahead into the new year. What does that look like? So for us, that could be, we start thinking about the garden, right? Because to be ready to plant in March or May rather, March, April, and May, depending on what it is you're trying to plant. Down here we're in a warmer climate, so we can do a little bit of stuff a little bit earlier. So, but we start thinking about stuff like the garden, or maybe we're planning our next vacation because the way my schedule is, I have to do it so far in advance. I'm looking at October and December and those things already, right? So, and it's like you said, it just gets your mind on something else, being productive. And I have a bigger point about that. But one of the things I want to do while we're kind of on this is, like you mentioned, being creative. And right now, because this year was so busy, I'm a little behind on getting our time capsule wreath completed. But we finally got to sit down yesterday and really get to work on it. And I wanted to share a couple of the things that we got this year that are going to end up on the wreath, just to kind of let everybody know. I hope you can see this. This is a handmade bicycle, and it's made from, I'm going to hold it a little bit closer. It is made from random bits of metal and little pieces. Every little piece is handmade, and it's the kind of thing that you have to really kind of be looking for to find. But I was looking around and found this builder on Etsy, and I got to tell you, this is the coolest little bike. And they have the artist who makes these bikes, they make them in different kinds, so you can get them with the banana seats or whatever. And it came with a beautiful handwritten note. But that's just something, somebody took the time to create that, and it's going to go right into me creating something that is a big, huge part of our Christmas traditions. So it's just one of those things that, I tell you what, man, somebody else, I don't know, as a creative, I really appreciate that, right? Because that took a lot of work, and it was handmade, and it was beautiful. So I just really appreciate that. I see Callisters is here. Hello, Callisters. That's awesome. And Tommy, hey Tommy, for jumping in here. That's fantastic. We're glad you're here. So okay, so I need to offer a disclaimer right here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I don't listen, y'all. I am not a professional psychologist or anything like that. I'm just a
Yeah.
fellow who's lived a few years. I know what it's like to live around people with depression. I know what it's like to have to fight against depression. Um, it's just for me, when I was 12 years old, I wound up in a situation where I was with someone who was really having a hard time, and I saw it every day, and I saw how it affected them. And as a child in my formative years, I know how it affected me. And at one point, I wound up, you know, it was a negative because I didn't know how to process it. And as I got older and just the caring that's involved there and the interaction, the back and forth, I was able to get that to a positive place, and better understand what was happening. And then when I started to have my own issues, and when I say issues, I don't want to overstate the fact. I um, I'm just human. That's all I mean. So like I might have a day or two, where I'm just feeling just in the wrong headspace and in the wrong place. And uh, so everything I'm about to say to you now is what I have found that works for me. So if any of this sounds like it might help you, then thank goodness for that. But this is not advice, from a professional. So
Right.
I just want to say that just so we're all clear. Um, but it is something that I care enough about. I care enough about you because you're here, and I care enough about just the idea in the larger world to kind of demystify it a little bit and help people understand that when you're talking about depression, that is a very real thing, and it affects all of us in different ways. Um, and it is something that needs to be paid attention to and addressed if at all possible.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel very, very, very fortunate that I feel like I have some tools that I've worked on over years to try to get a plan for how to pull myself out of it. So one of those things, and this is probably the number one thing. So if I don't get to anything else, this is the most important thing. But for me, it comes back to um, doing. Right? And generally, what that means for me is finding a way to do something in the service of someone else.
Right.
So I have found that brings me both a purpose when I'm floundering and maybe I don't see one. And I know that sounds, when you talk about this stuff, it sounds funny to say it out
Yeah.
loud because, I mean, I'm a huge family man, right? There's nothing more important than my children and my wife. I have a purpose. Yet, when you're all screwy in the head, for that moment, right? It sometimes that gets muddled and it's hard to see. And so, what I have found that is if I can find something to do in the service of someone else,
Yeah.
that gives me a purpose, and then it also brings perspective, right?
Mhm.
Because the minute I will lift my eyes back up again and see the world that's around me, like I actually see it, which is hard to do when you're, not in a good head place. Um, then I realize that I have, I have such, I'm in such a wonderful place, right?
Mhm. Right.
And at that point, this is just me again. I start to feel like not to diminish my own feelings, but to see them for what they are and say, um, I am in such a place that I feel obligated to do what I can to assist someone else.
Right.
And in the process of doing that, it makes me, like I said, it makes me lift my eyes. It makes me, see the broader world. And I have a goal, so I feel motivated and fired up about doing something for someone else. And it's not even a situation where that person has to know, right? If I can do it anonymously or something, I'll do that instead. That's not the point, right? It's not about them
Right.
knowing. It's about me heeding the call to do something, right? And in that process, by giving myself over to that process,
Mhm.
that pulls me out of whatever that place is. And sometimes I can feel it coming, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it just hits me from out of nowhere. And I just wake up and I'm like, that's not okay. Like
Yeah.
things, it's like the floor feels slanted or something,
Yeah.
And Ken's got it right. Happiness
Yeah.
is an inside job. And that helps me remember that I'm in a good place. I'm okay. And what can I do to help somebody else get to that place?
Yeah.
Whatever that may mean. So that's probably my biggest point about all this. And if you've never tried it, I would
Yeah.
urge you to try it. Because as Todd mentioned earlier, it'll get you thinking about something else. It
Yeah.
will get you up and moving. It'll get you. There's just so many good benefits. Like you don't have time to think about the stuff that may have been the trigger, right? You are
Right.
now focused on a new thing. And to your point, Todd, and I don't mean to gloss over this,
Oh,
when you were feeling blue or down or something like that, you don't feel like getting up, and
right.
you have no energy. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
very physical part of it. And I totally understand that. And yes, it requires you to make the decision to get up
Right.
and do whatever. And when I say get up, sometimes that's literal and sometimes it can
Mm-hmm.
be figurative, but you have to choose to go do that.
Right.
And I hold myself to a pretty high standard. Now, my standard, I'm not saying they have to be yours, they're mine. But my standard is something along the lines of the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right?
Yeah.
So I feel I try to hold myself to a lofty ideal, right? Even if I know that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or it's very, very difficult for any person to achieve that ideal, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that I can't strive for that ideal. And it's that old saying, you shoot for the stars, you might hit the moon, or shoot
Yeah.
for the moon, you might land in the stars. Same
Yeah.
thing. If I'm on a glide path to trying to go do something good, and that's only going to pull me up with it, and I'm going to feel better. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to hear some feedback, whether it's from
Yeah.
the guys in the
Well,
chat or from you or anything, because that's just something I found that really helps
yeah.
me.
You know, every time you hear somebody like take a mission trip or go, volunteer somewhere, whether it be, down at the food pantry or even like at an animal shelter or do anything like that, like the common phrase you always hear people say, I went to go help them or give to them, but I felt like they gave me so much more. You hear that all the time because it's true. You go to do those things, and the things that you get in return for whatever reason, as far as like you said, perspective or a shift in your gratitude, is so much more than you could ever expect. And that's an excellent way to do it, is to find someone to do something for. Here several years ago, my youngest, she is 9 now. She was born in late November, and so it was Christmas time, and we had a newborn baby, and I didn't know this story until, even though I was part of it, I didn't know the impact of it until a few years ago. Holly brought it up to me, and I'm like, I didn't even know what she was talking about. She had to tell it to me, and but anyway, our youngest, she was just a brand new baby, Christmas time. And of course, like that postpartum kind of depression set in on Holly a little bit, and things. And one day, I don't even remember the day of the week. It was at nighttime, and I was like, "Hey, let's go for a drive and look at the Christmas lights." Just kind of, for whatever reason. And we went and drive. I don't know how long we went. It wasn't a long time, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and stuff. And that was enough to really change her outlook, and to kind of get her kind of going in the right direction. And it's things like that, just you know just to like, we keep repeating the phrase of breaking that cycle in your mind, kind of thing. And you're right, we're not any kind of psychologists or family counselors, and if you're really struggling and you don't know where to go, just call your family doctor. You go to him for medical conditions, and he'll be more than happy to help you and point you in the right direction. with those situations. And if you see somebody, that's having a hard time snapping out of it, go be their friend, go take them for a walk or a drive or something. And, if they really need help, encourage them to give their doctor a call. And
beautifully said.
Yeah.
I honestly, I can't. I'm so grateful that you made that point, because there are people who absolutely help you. Don't be afraid to ask. If you see somebody that you can help, do it. I just posted something yesterday, right, about kindness, and it costs you nothing to be kind.
Right.
And if you think you can make somebody else, feel a little, it may mean the world to them. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So be open to it and do what you can to help. So we're coming up to the end of the hour here. I'm afraid it might kick us off at an hour. So maybe we ought to wrap this thing up. But there's a lot coming up. I know on my end, we have a lot going on. This 2022, I'm turning my focus to look at YouTube a little bit. We're going to be doing some stuff over there, more content over there. So if you don't follow over there, please check us out. Thank you for being here on the Santa Dad page on Instagram. I love it. We're trying to share a bunch of stuff. I'm having a good time. I hope you're having a good time. And remember, I love Christmas and we're all about it, but we're about a lot more than Christmas. And I hope to see you like this a lot more over this year too. So, Todd, thank you so much for coming in here with us and sitting in for a little while. I know you've got some stuff. Going on. We've got just a minute. If you want to quickly sort of tease us or something, let us know. Let us know where you are.
This background I've had for a few years will be going away in the near future. So look out for a new background. And my month break is just about over. So be looking out here on Instagram at Christmas Clatter everywhere, even on YouTube. The Silver Bell Music Awards will be happening here in a few days. If you have a nomination, be paying attention to the Instagram, because I'll be taking nominations for your favorite Christmas music from Christmas 2021.
See, that's outstanding. I mean, that's one of the things that I picked up, honestly, from hanging out with you this year, Todd, is my base of Christmas music expanded this year. I found, I don't know, probably 3-4 solid contributors that are going to be with us, for a long time. And the way I know that is as I run them through the filter of the girls, right? And they're like, oh no, I love this one. And I'm like, oh, all right. And so there we go. So thank you for that. That was a nice little expansion of our Christmas music library. To everyone who's in the chat, thank you guys so very much for being here. Please reach out anytime. And I can say this for Todd too. Reach out to us, let us know, because this is the most fun part of all of this. As creators, we do it for ourselves, but we do it for you too. And we love the interaction back and forth. Send us a message, like our stuff, whatever. Just let us know. If we can help you, you want to talk to me about something in particular, please reach out. I will absolutely do my best to get back with you as soon as possible. And I know Todd will too, because once upon a time, I was that guy who was like, reaching out to him. So he's very responsive, and like I said, stay tuned. Lots of stuff coming in 2022. You'll hear about it on the Instagram and the other places. So follow along. Let's have a good time. And until next time, guys, don't miss a chance to make special happen. Good night, guys. I'll see you next time.